Hey everyone, this is EXE-D and welcome back to my channel. Now with MechCon over and not very much coming out of it, we can return to our regularly scheduled programming, and I'll continue with one of my favorite series on the channel, the Underdog mechs. Rewind your memories back 15 years ago when MechWarrior 4 Merc's multiplayer was in full swing. At that time, the Executioner was far from an Underdog mech. Since you knew the map and mode of every multiplayer lobby, you can run the quad ERPPC jump sniping gladiator and choose those maps where the two team spawns had a giant wall right in front of it. This allowed the gladiator to shoot right across the map, and several gladiators on a team can essentially prevent any mech from crossing over to the other side. It was super broken, and I wonder if PGI took some lessons from that and nerfed everything that made the Executioner good before it was even released. In MWO, the mech is held back by multiple factors. First, it has a locked XL380 engine, 4 locked jump jets, mask, and ferrofibrous armor instead of endo-steel structure. This means that it has extremely low free tonnage for a 95 tonner. The locked equipment does give the Executioner a mobility advantage over other assaults. But since the engine desync of 2017 and the jump jet nerfs from even before the clans came out, the extra equipment doesn't do a whole lot for the mech. If it were a clan battle mech, you could easily free up 5 tons or so without giving up much in terms of agility and speed. In some ways, it's like a slow heavy mech stuck in the body of an assault mech, but it's not quite as agile as a heavy and is a much larger target to shoot at. It also has to deal with low hardpoint locations. While it has up to 3 high-mounted torso hardpoints, most of its weapons are on the arms, which are at hip level. This means that the Executioner has to expose a large amount of surface area to do damage to an enemy. In summary, the Executioner has to be fully exposed to the enemy, and when it is exposed, it doesn't have the firepower to put down enemies quickly. All this is bad news for the chassis, and a lot of people consider the Executioner to be the second worst clan assault in the game. There are essentially 2 playstyles where mechs with low mounts, above average mobility, and lots of armor can excel. One is Brawling, but the Executioner doesn't quite have the right hardpoints and the right locations for that. Ideally, we'd like to bow torso-mounted LBX autocannons or SRMs for close-range sustained DPS and defensive shield arms. The Executioner can only do a respectable brawl build with the chirpy hero omnipods, and even then it's rely on arm-mounted weapons, which then can no longer be used as shields. The second role is as a skirmisher. If you're not familiar with skirmishing, I'll put a link in the description below, as well as put up a card up top. Skirmisher mechs need agility to position themselves at angles where they'll take reduced return fire. But unlike peak-oriented mechs, they are expected to take a moderate amount of return fire, which is why they'll need armor to absorb those shots. The Executioner happens to fit both of these requirements. The MPL is a good skirmishing weapon due to its relatively short burn duration, which allows you to get back to cover faster. It also happens that the D variant has a set of 8 Omnipod quirks that benefits pulse lasers, and has the hardpoints to make the build work. With that many hardpoints and a good amount of free tonnage for laser builds, we're going to need to supplement the 6 MPLs with an LPL. I talked about the MPL-LPL combo before in my channel, and here's another example where this is just what we need. I put the LPL on one of the high torso mounts because sometimes when you need to peek over a ridge, the 3 high-mounted energy weapons can be really helpful. Most of the time though, you'll want to be looking for opportunities to take 1 or 2 shots from the side of an enemy, and use your mask to accelerate back to cover or to reposition. While you're returning to cover, you can use the left arm to block shots. I debated whether to enable the lower arm actuator or not. Having it on makes the mech more responsive when torso twisting. It doesn't increase the speed of the twist, but allows larger degrees of twist with small amount of mouse movement. The other benefit is that the arm lasers can aim more quickly at fast-moving mechs. The drawback is less damage accuracy, so I'd play around with both to see which one you like better. For skills, this is one of the few non-ECM assaults where I skip the radar depth nodes. With mask enabled, the Executioner moves as fast as a medium, so it gets back to cover rather quickly as long as you're near cover, which you should be most of the time. We get half of the speed tweak nodes, and since mask applies a percentage bonus to top speed, the effect of speed tweak is enhanced. Next, we want all the durability nodes we can get, since we're often engaging up close and getting shot at. And we want good DPS out of our lasers, so we got lots of heat gen and all of Cool Run. Okay, let's see this mech in action. Alright, in this match we are on Solaris City, and Solaris City is like almost a perfect map for the Executioner for this build at least, because it is short range, well, relatively short range, and has a lot of corner peek opportunities, so high mounts are not such a huge advantage on this map as it is on certain other maps. So our team basically rotated right, and we're just gonna follow them here, and then also trying to get some of our own angles. We can use our speed to position to get into these free firing angles. And these mechs happen to be around 350 to 450. So 450 is a little bit out of range for us, but since we're getting a little bit of free damage, we'll just go and take that anyways. So we're in a good position right now. There's a corner for us to peek, and mechs are about close to our max optimal range. So that Fafnir would have been scary if it was heavy Gauss. I don't think it was heavy Gauss, so I think it was doing something like quad LBX, which would be scary in a straight up brawl, but just like as when I'm peeking and poking at him, he can't really quad LBX isn't going to be able to trade with me. Not very well, at least.
There's a Fafnir somewhere.
So we do have a couple of friendlies here, so that's preventing the mechs over at Delta 4, Echo 3 from pushing us. We don't want to get into a straight up brawl. We want to be kind of sitting here and then taking shots, from, the 350 range. You can see we're just using our mask to try to get back to cover quickly. So you can see from some of these shots the sort of the downside of leaving the lower arm actuator enabled. The shot accuracy isn't as good because we're having to move our torso from side to side, which is going to cause convergence problems between the torso weapons and arm weapons. But at the same time, it does help us, torso twist a little bit more responsively, as I mentioned. Okay, something's in our back right now. So we do have to be careful of the AC-20 SRM-6 Roughneck. We don't want to get into a straight brawl with him, especially if he's fresh. So when we're skirmishing, we're really just trying to use our team as protection, and trying not to get pushed on. My arm's getting weak, so I gotta protect the arm quite a little bit more. We have a pretty huge lead, so we just need to clean up the rest of the mechs now.
Thank you for listening to me, and great job, everyone.
Well, this is turning out to be a really fast match, and you can see that if it gets into the right situation and with the right team, the damage output on this mech is very good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review of the Executioner, and make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you next time.
Good job, Torito.